So Prabhupada ki jai. In order to distinguish the personality whom the individual soul must approach, it is described herein that this Purusha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the chief amongst all living entities and is the ultimate form of the impersonal Brahman effulgence and Paramatma manifestation. Since he is the origin of Brahman effulgence and Paramatma manifestation, he is described within as the chief personality. It is confirmed in the Katha Upanishad, Nityo Nityanam. There are many eternal living entities, but he is the chief maintainer. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita also, where Lord Krishna says, Aham Sarvasya Prabhava, I am the origin of everything, including the Brahman effulgence and Paramatma manifestation. His activities are transcendental as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Janma karma chame divyam. The activities and the appearance and disappearance of Supreme Personality of Godhead are transcendental. They are not to be considered material. Anyone who knows this fact, that the appearance, disappearance, and activities of the Lord are beyond material activities or material conception, is liberated. Yo vetti tattvata tvakta deham punarjanma. Such a person, after quitting his body, doesn't come back again to this material world, but goes to the Supreme Person. It is confirmed here, Purusha Purusham Brajet. The living entity goes to the Supreme Personality simply by understanding his transcendental nature and activities. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjanashalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namo Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaiham Dadati Swapadantikam Bandeham Sri Guru Sri Uttapadakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sadivam Sadvitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakha Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishavanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpataru Vescha Kripa Sindhu Vaevacha Patitanam Pavanevhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Leelachal Nivasaya Nityaya Paramatmane, Balabhadra Subhadrabhya, Jagannathaya Te Namo. So thank you so much for joining this wonderful Sangha, Srimad Bhagavatam discussion every day, Monday to Friday. And today, the subject matter is very beautiful. Etat Bhagavato Rupam. Kapiladev is speaking to her mother, Devahuti, who is the daughter of Swayambhu Manu, the emperor of this entire universe. And mother Devahuti is listening this Ashtanga Yoga process, the 8 processes of devotional, the 8 angas of the union with the Lord, Ashtanga Yoga, from her son Kapiladev. Kapiladev is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So here and here in this series of verses, 7 to 8 verses, Kapiladev is focusing on gradation of jivas. Jivas who are in material bondage to more closer to the Lord, and based on the sense perception, they are more how the gradation of the personalities are happening, and he is going from a person who is totally attached to the material bondage to a person who is a devotee or a pure devotee, and what are the traits of a pure devotee. And then in the next series of verses, Lord Kapiladev is going to move to a different topic on the nature of time, how time affects this entire series of activities. So here, this is the last verse of not of this chapter. This is the last verse of the series of conversation where the gradation of jivas are being discussed. And what is the perception of these different jivas? Lord is explaining. So here, Lord is saying, Edat Bhagavato Rupam Brahmana Paramatmana Param Pradhanam Purusham. That means Lord is referred by some as the Supreme Brahman. Lord is also referred as Paramatma. But the Pradhanam means the topmost, right? Pradhan is the topmost. But the Param Pradhanam means ever transcendentally top. Pradhan means top, Purushams. But this activity of controlling, or rather, the personality who is representing the underlying concept of Brahman or Paramatma is a Purusha. It's a Purusha because Lord is saying Param Pradhanam Purusham. Purusha means he's a person. And that person is a supreme person, Param Pradhanam. He is a transcendentally supreme person. So with that understanding, we'll also discuss Srila Prabhupada's beautiful purport on this verse, and we'll discuss how we should look at the Supreme Personality of Godhead, how we should look at the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because jivas have different sense perceptions. Often people who refer to Brahman and Brahman are two different things here. Brahman is a person, Brahma Janati Brahmana. That means who understand Vedas, he is a Brahmana. And in this gradation, he is ahead in understanding the Supreme. But there also, there are other activities which goes in. And these underlying activities are the essence of the three kinds of absolute truth. Some people consider the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Brahman or an effulgence. Like effulgence is, if you think about a diya, there is a bit of an effulgence. And likewise, Lord's effulgence is much bigger, but they consider Lord to be that little effulgence. And that effulgence is not a person because it's an impersonal view, because that's not a person. But here, Kapiladev is saying the controller or the controller of that Jyoti, the Brahma Jyoti, or Paramatma, the super soul in our heart, is a Pradhan. Is a Pradhan means he's a ultimate person. Param Pradhanam Purusham. That means he's the ultimate person and he's a Purusha. So it's very clear, Srimad Bhagavatam, that Lord is a person. Param Pradhanam Purusham. So in this Ashtanga Yoga process, which starts with yama, abstinence, niyama, observance, asana, posture, pranayam means breathing process, pratyahara means withdrawal from several activities which are not favorable to Krishna consciousness, dharana means you are focusing concentration, dhyana, meditating on the Lord, and samadhi, absorption. So these 8 processes are very nicely explained in this 1 or 2 cantos by Kapiladev. And in this verse, Lord is explaining about Brahman, Paramatma, and the Supreme Pradhan person, Pradhan Purusham. So what is a Brahman? You know, when you think about Brahman is a person whose vision is actually a very elevated vision. Let's not undermine the importance of a person who thinks that Lord is a Brahman. In 13.31, Krishna explains about the qualities of a person who thinks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself as a Param Brahman. So when a sensible man ceases to see different identities due to different material bodies, and he sees how beings are expanded everywhere, he attains the Brahman conception. So Brahman conception is not a small order, it's a tall order actually. So we should not undermine the people, we should rather respect. The reason why Srila Prabhupada is so critical about the Brahman and Paramatma realization is, they are not incorrect realizations, they are incomplete realizations. So whenever we take a medication, like a medication is there and the medication is told to you that you should probably intake it when you are in empty stomach. On some medication, you take it when you are in full stomach. So there is a prescription. And when based on the prescription, the absorption of that medication to benefit you is significant when you do it at the right time. If you don't follow the process of intaking the medication, it may have no effect, or it may have side effect, or it can have bad effects. So likewise, Brahman realization, as explained by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in 13.31, is he sees different he ceases to see different identities due to different material bodies. So Brahman realization is also a tall order, and he is is very much attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But the sad part of that realization is they don't consider the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be a person. And this is a biggest issue, because whenever we talk of energy, the energy has to be produced by somebody, right? Energy doesn't come from nowhere, because we have said the energy has to be conserved, and it's a transmigration of energy from one to another. So if there is energy, there must be energetic. If people like us have personalities, the Lord also have to have personalities. And without that personalization, we cannot understand God. And that is where we are very focused on this aspect of uh, doing devotional service. When you are doing devotional service, the devotional service has to be done to someone. The devotional service cannot be done with vacuum. Can you do devotional service to a log of wood, for example, in the backyard of your house? So there has to be object of the devotional service wherein you end up doing, perform some activities, and you build that relationship. And when you build that relationship with that object of activity, that constitutes what is known as devotional service or bhakti yoga. So, and here Lord also mentions, Srila Prabhupada quotes, that a person who understands that Krishna has mentioned that aham sarvascha prabhu, he is the origin of everything. And the person who understands the appearance and disappearance, janma karma chame divyam, he has understood the Supreme Personality of Godhead fully, and he, after quitting his body, he doesn't come back to this wretched material world to suffer again and again and again. So the understanding of the appearance and disappearance, because when a person is appearing, he has to be a person, right? So there are many references, but we will focus a little bit about the appearance of the Lord with reference to this three absolute truths. So the Brahman realization is the all-pervading impersonal oneness in the form of a Brahma Jyoti. The second absolute truth is, some people think that Lord is a Paramatma manifestation of the Supreme, and he is in the heart of every being. So that is a slightly advanced feeling. The Brahman realization are often done by jnanis, and the Paramatma realization is often done by yogis. So in that sense, that Lord is in the heart. But a bhakta thinks that Lord is beyond this Brahman and Paramatma, and he is Bhagavan. So when somebody asks us what are the three absolute truths, these are the three absolute truths, that Lord can be perceived as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. And as a bhakta, we feel Lord is Bhagavan who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He has a personality, and we have to offer devotional service because he's the object of our, uh, he is actually the object of our pouring of devotional service. So when you think about the Gyani's realization, which is the Brahman, and the Yogi's realization, which is Paramatma, but a Bhakta's realization being Bhagavan, we have to recognize that his appearance and disappearance is very unique. He can appear anywhere, anytime. And actually, he can appear multiple times, for example. He can appear on the day of Janmashtami as Lalla to Nanda Baba and Devki Maharani, or he can appear as the Lord of the universe to King Indradumna and Mother Gundicha. And he can also appear as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi. Lord can appear in many different ways. Lord's appearance and disappearance, if understood by a devotee properly, then they have actually understood the Supreme Personality of Godhead fully. So likewise, Lord's appearance on Snanyatra is actually the appearance of Lord Jagannath or Lord of the universe. So here, Kapiladev is referring to Lord as someone who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That means Aham Sarvascha Prabhu, everything comes from him. The entire universe comes from him. So he is actually the Lord of the universe. And when Lord of the universe appears, he doesn't come just to showcase that he is the Lord of the universe. He wants to please his devotees. That is a topmost realization of a bhakta. That means when the bhakta takes to the Lord with sincere devotion, sincere process of activities, he internalized that, and he is constantly doing the process of sadhana in the form of chanting, the form of regulation, in the form of doing activities in for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He looks to please the Lord. In other processes, when the devotee goes, he is seeking to get something from the Lord, that he wants to feel that, the trance. He wants to be at a very high platform, meditating on the form of the Lord. And there are the siddhis which are there. They tend to make the devotees feel high about something. But a bhakta's intent is nothing personal or selfish. Bhakta wants to just serve the Lord. And when bhakta serves the Lord, Lord reciprocates by being a servant of the devotees. Once upon a time, there was a devotee of Lord Ganesh from Karnataka named Ganapati Bhatta. He went to Jagannath Puri because he had this all-pervading perception about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that Lord of the universe, Lord Jagannath, is everything. Everything comes from him. Lord Ganesh comes from him. But he forgot, or rather he was very sad to realize that on the day he landed in Jagannath Puri, it was the appearance day of the Lord, and Lord was giving darshan in an open place. He was very surprised as to how come the Lord of the universe with his supreme siblings are taking bath in public, and he had a very Brahman realization. He was a extremely Jnani devotee, and he was saddened by the activities which was going on, and he was looking to see his dearest Lord Ganesh in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And when he did not see that, he was very sad. He was sad that you are Param Brahma, you are Brahman realized. From you this effulgence comes. You are all pervading, and you are one, and you basically encompass everything. But how come I'm not seeing my dearest personality, Lord Ganesh, in you? He was very saddened, and he left. And uh, and after some time, after brief walking, he was tired. He slept, and when he slept just on the outskirts of Jagannath Puri, he had a dream, and in the dream, Lord appeared, Ganesh appeared, and he said, "Go back to where you came from after having darshan of Lord Jagannath. He is none other than Lord Ganesh, and you can see everything emanating from him." And he woke up and he walked back, and on that day, Lord was giving darshan to everyone, because in the heart of the pujaris, he appeared that his greatest devotee, Ganapati Bhatta, is around and he wants to see me in that form. And in that form, he gave darshan to Ganapati Bhatta, and Ganapati Bhatta was immensely pleased to see that Lord can give darshan anything to in as any personality. Lord can appear anywhere. Lord can appear in a pillar. Lord can, for the pleasure of the devotees, Lord can do anything. And once the devotee internalize that, he will realize that Bhakti Yoga is the topmost platform, because here, Lord, I mean, the intent of the Bhakta is not to make Lord do all this, but in his one to one connection with the Lord, Lord can go to any extent in serving his pure devotees. And that's how there are so many things which has happened. If you look at the prisoners of Narakasura, and they were, after Narakasura were let go, after these prisoners, the queens, they would find no place to stay, because the social stigma is very much negative. So Krishna married all the. So in one side you see a incomplete or a unknown uh, interaction, saying that Lord has so many queens. But if you go into the pastime, these are pastimes where it reinforces the fact that how Lord is preserving his devotees. And just now we discussed about Ganapati Bhatta, that he wanted to see Lord Ganesh and Lord of the universe. From him, everything emanates. Aham sarvascha prabhu, as Srila Prabhupada is quoting in this purport. And he gave darshan. He gives darshan in so many ways, just to please his devotees. And when you bathe him with a lot of love and devotion, in order to reciprocate in a very fun manner with his devotees, he falls sick after giving Hativesh darshan. Where on earth a form of Krishna falls sick to give pleasure and give separation to his devotees? Unthinkable in any. The Lord can fall sick in a scenario. He can transcendentally fall sick to give pleasure to the devotees in this ever expression of pure love, where devotees bathe him and he falls sick. Is unimaginable in any other form of the Lord. And then, after giving too much of separation, like Krishna giving separation to his gopis, would come and play with him, and he will go to Vrindavan. After 2 weeks after accidental illness, he is going to come back and go on a yatra with his devotees to Sundarachal, which is none other than Vrindavan. So look at this process where Lord gives bath on his appearance day, Lord gives darshan based on his devotees. Then, in order to play with the devotees, he falls sick and then doesn't give darshan in the Anavasar period for 2 weeks, from Snanyatra to Rath Yatra. And then Lord also feels separation, and devotees feel separation. And then he comes back and goes with devotees from Aishwarya to Madhurya. in the form of Rath Yatra. And then he stays there for some time and plays with his gopis in Vrindavan, in Gundicha temple. Then he comes back to do his day-to-day administrative activities of the whole world in the form of Bahuda Rath Yatra. So this entire process, when internalized by his devotees, gives so much of happiness. Devotees are totally dissolved in this entire process of thinking about the Lord, doing service to the Lord, uh, bathing the Lord, singing for the Lord, cooking for the Lord, then crying for the Lord, and Lord also simultaneously falls sick by feeling the love. He also, his eyes open up, and in his ecstatic form of love, he becomes Lord Jagannath. So the Krishna's ecstatic form when he is in separation from gopis, because if you see, he is with his supreme siblings, he is not with his friends, he is not with Srimati Radharani. He is the most ecstatic form in separation, where his eyes lit up, his hand shrunk. In the most ecstatic form, Narad Muni wants to see Lord Krishna in that form, when that ever pastime in Dwapar Yuga, where Rohini Mata is explaining this beautiful pastime, and Mother Subhadra is at the doorstep, Lord Jagannath Baladev, hearing his own pastime, they become so ecstatic. So, this is the exchange of loving interaction, which is unthinkable in any Paramatma manifestation of the Lord, or any Brahman effulgence of the Lord. It can only be experienced by a devotee. So here Kapiladev is explaining about the gradation of jivas, and how Brahman realized, Paramatma realized, even if they are very high, but they still can appreciate the secret sauce, which is the devotee realization of the Lord, who is the most complete realization of the Lord. So with that, I would like to end here. Thank you so much for your kind attention. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Jagannath Prabhu. We'd like to wish everybody a safe and Krishna conscious day ahead and weekend ahead. A weekend filled with festivities. Tomorrow we'll celebrate Snan Yatra in the evening. Also, Govindas is on tomorrow from 12 to 3, and the evening from 5:30. The Snan Yatra program will begin. We'd like to offer our prayers to the Supreme Lord by chanting Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Hare
Rama.
Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare Rama,
Rama
Hare
Rama Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
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 Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare Hare.
Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama.
Hare Hare. Shri Nrsingo, Jai Nrsingo, Jai
Narasimha,
Jai
Jai Jai
Nrsingo,
Narasimha,
Praladesha,
Pradesh,
Jaya
Jai
Padma
Padma
Mukha
Mukha
Padma Bringa,
Pradma,
Ugra
Veeram
Veeram
Ugravedam,
Mahavishnu,
Jalantam
Jalantam
Sarvato
Sarvatom
Mukham,
Narasimham, Vishnu
Nrsiнгam Bhishanam Bhadram Nityam Nityam Nami
Narasimha,
Ham. Nrsinga Bhagwan ki jai, Prahlad
Jai,
Maharaj ki jai.
Jai,
Let's offer our humble obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnavas, Vanchakalpataru,
Vanchakalpatarubhasya,
Kripa
Kripasindhu,
Sindhu, Bhaya
Patitanam
Patitanam
Patitanam, Pavane
Pavanebhyo,
Bhayo
Vaishnavibhyo
Vaishnavebhyo
Namo
Namo
Namaha.
Namaha. Vaishnavendra ki jai,
Jai,
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila
Jai,
Prabhupada ki jai. God bless.
Jai,
Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Hari Bo. Thank
Hare
you
Krishna,
everybody.
Hare
Hari Bo.